Good evening, everybody. It is 8 p.m. on April the 9th in the year 2021. This is the voice of Aggroed, and I am, of course, joined by my fellow co-founder of Splinterlands, the one, the only, Matt. Matt, are you there?
I am here. Hello, everybody.
All right, fantastic. So, it's been a crazy month. It's been a crazy, start of the year. I can't remember if I know I drafted the numbers post. Did we put out the numbers post for the quarter or the month? Yeah, we did.
And it was in the gold foil press and all that.
I mean, the thing has just been crazy. We're seeing more activity. The market cap is going through the roof. I don't know. The BAT promotion has been going really well. We have a whole bunch of land that sold today. So I don't know. Just every little piece of this seems to be going in Splinterlands' direction, and we're talking to some big partners. I'm not ready to announce my big announcement, although Matt might have an announcement he's ready to announce. But look at that, 12.6. I mean, that thing is going vertical. You guys are going crazy for this right now. There's just so much to be grateful for, so much to be thankful for, so much growth. My big announcement isn't ready, but I did get the legal form back. So now we got to go bring it back to the platform, and we'll see where that goes. But hopefully this is our last round of that. And after that, we're going to be in a good spot. So I've had a couple big conversations. I spoke to a billionaire last week. That was pretty cool. And, I can't tell you where all this stuff is going to go, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. Matt, do you want to give us just kind of big picture updates on where Splinterlands is at and what, where the product team is at, where we're at on roadmap stuff, and just some general thoughts for us to think through?
Overall, we have more stuff in the works and coming up by far than we've ever had. It's going to be a ton of work to build all this stuff and get this out there. We brought on one new developer recently, and we are potentially looking to add more people, not only in development but other areas. I think this is going to be it. This is going to be the big year for Splinterlands growth in all areas, and it's crazy that we're already seeing that in all the numbers, and we haven't, all this stuff hasn't really happened yet. I'm the most bullish that I've been.
Yeah, and Matt's the depressingly everything will fail and doom of the two of us. So when he's feeling bullish, that just means that I'm sort of stratospheric. So there's a lot of a lot of good vibes for coming from Splinterlands. I see Cryptomancers in the audience. Mancer, do you have a microphone? Are you able to speak if I unmute you? Just gonna give him half a second here. Yep, he can talk. Let's go ask Mancer how he's doing and how the rollout of Brawls have gone. Mancer, you're live with us. You want to go tell us about Brawls? Are they working? Are they dead? Are they broken? Is it amazing? Give us the latest update.
Okay, hello guys. Can you hear me?
Beautifully.
I'm coming through loud and clear?
Oh yeah.
Okay, great. Alright, so Brawls. It's been an exciting start to the Brawls. From a technical perspective, the system has been going smoothly. No major issues found. And we've gotten lots of good feedback on them so far. Most of the feedback that we've gotten tends to take the form of, generally speaking, people want to see more information on things. So there's been some talk about how it would be nice to see info on phrase for your teammates after the brawl was started. And some other things like seeing battles for teammates as well. And some of those things are low-hanging fruit that we might be able to add, and others will take more work that might be better spent on other things. So we kind of have to evaluate and see what it makes sense to do as we continue to gather feedback and think about future iterations. Another thing that we're looking at is the crown costs of leveling up buildings. So it looks like, based on how Brawls are going so far, it will take about a month or so for the top guilds to be able to level up their arena to level 2. And that's a bit longer than we originally anticipated. So we might look at adjusting crown costs of building level ups, perhaps. We want it to still be a pretty good grind to actually reach a level 10 building. That should be a substantial, difficult accomplishment. But we don't want the level up progression to be too difficult either. So we want it to be finely balanced. But otherwise, yeah, Brawls have been going great. And besides focusing on little tweaks like that, I'm also looking at starting to work on Brawls Phase 2, which is going to be rolling out the barracks building and the shop building, and also the new gladiator cards. So work on that is in progress and going well so far. I'm working on implementing barracks bonuses right now, and I don't want to talk too much about what those bonuses actually are yet until they're finalized, but I can tell you they're going to be pretty sweet and make a fun difference in some battles.
Can you give one example? Hey, Mancer, can you give one example? And look, we're not committing to this being the thing, but just one example of what one of those bonuses might be, so that folks can get a sense of some of what we're thinking here.
Okay. One example of a bonus would be for home battles. If there's a tie, then rather than resulting in a draw like it does now, then the tie would go to the home team and count as a win for the home team. So there will be some. Yeah, sorry.
So little advantages, not massive, not game changing, but certainly enough that on a long enough time frame with enough people playing, like you can rack up some extra wins because of the bonuses.
Yep, exactly. So they're not going to be totally unbalancing and overpowered, but they will make differences, and you'll actually feel the difference between the home games and the away games.
All right. Do you have timelines on those things, or when do you think that people will see kind of like visual differences? Are you gonna roll this out in another big ta-da, or is it going to be like, okay, here's this new button, here's this new button? How do you think we'll see it roll out, and what's the rough timeline?
For the Phase 2 launch, I expect that will be kind of a big all-at-once launch, just like the initial release of Brawls. Small little things might be enhancements that we make as a result of playback. So there's kind of two things that we're going to be doing, both the small little enhancements as we go along, and then also the big Phase 2 release. And as far as timelines, it's hard to estimate right now, but I would say probably Phase 2 within the next couple months. We certainly want it to be sometime within Q2.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we keep scooting along here?
No, just that it's really exciting to see this out there and see people having fun with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves as we go along.
Do you know how many brawls have happened, or how many individual battles in the brawl have happened?
For the first brawl, the one that's already finished, I believe there were 71 guilds participating, and it was split into 8 simultaneous brawls with different groups of guilds.
That's pretty awesome. And then how many? So how many battles was that total?
I don't know the total battle count offhand, but many hundreds, I would guess.
Yeah, that's pretty. No, there's way more than 71 guilds. There's like 200 guilds. Go scroll down, Neil McSpreadsheet.
Yeah, there was 71 guilds participating in the brawls. 71 guilds that at least submitted one battle in a brawl.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Scrolling is for people not in Immortal Gods. I hear you. Okay, maybe before the list gets too long, I should probably scroll back and start doing some questions here. All right, Mancer. Well, I appreciate you coming on, telling us about the development. Your work is pretty fantastic. Doing a release that big and having 0 bugs is like kind of unheard of. So kudos to you, fun work, and thanks for doing your work here at Splinterlands.
Thanks, my pleasure.
All right, now let me see if I can find. Some other questions yet, because I don't know where. Somebody
if you scroll up, Channel Magnetic kind of stocked the pond with questions before the start.
Where do you have a time stamp for that?
Yeah, like 7:45, 7:48.
Okay, but I need the 9th. All right, so here's the 9th. All right, yeah, Channel Magnetic. Are there plans to change the Monster Maverick to people who basically just spend $1,000 on anything in the store? Currently, there are no plans to do that. The Mavericks has existed the way it has for a while, and I don't see much need to change it. I do imagine that we could add one for land, but I want the land to be released before I worry too much about that.
I mean, overall, I'd like it to be just like, currently it's outside of the game and it's just this like separate Discord thing. But, at some point I'd like, we've planned for in-game titles for these things. So you guys know that there's titles that go after the name, like the Untamed or whatever. But we also have kind of in the system ready to go titles that can be before the name. So you could potentially be like, Maverick, Aggroed, the Untamed. We'll have to go make sure like names fit places. But I was, the kind of the plan for that was to, have different, whether it's the achievement system, or something, where you just get different titles, prefix titles in the game based on different achievements. And I think at some point, kind of Maverick, the current Maverick thing will roll into that. And then there'll be a way to just like link your account to Discord like you can already do. And, get the appropriate role there and permissions.
Would it be possible to have contest surveys to create new future card names? Suggestion could cost X amount of DEC. If your gets picked in the community voting, it goes into the game and you get some sort of prize. Matt, can you envision any kind of system that might play into that?
Yeah, I'm not sure, we necessarily talked about card name, but in general, community voting is something on things that we're actively working on and looking into. But I think that sounds great. It'd require us to be a little more ahead of the game than we are. A lot of times, it's like, oh, we need new cards out. Let's hurry up and get these things out. But yeah, I think it'd be good. We have a lot of artwork that gets created, and our lore team, headed by Chris Roberts, typically names most of the cards. But I think there's some opportunity to get player involvement there. Share some new art for some of the new cards. Like maybe when we release Chaos Legion, or we're getting ready for that, which is going to be the next set after Untamed. We could pick some cards and just release the art and do a contest for the names. I like that idea.
This might be a good time to go talk about the Goblin Fire Mage. Do you want to, because that is a new card that's coming out. Do you want to talk anything about him or her? I didn't really check.
Yeah, no, it seems to be a male character, but I'm no Goblin anatomy expert for sure. But yeah, so the Goblin Fire Mage is going to be the 11th Untamed Airdrop card out of a total of 14, so it's kind of crazy to think that there's only 3 more left after this. Seems like only yesterday we released the first Airdrop, but anyway, yeah, so it's, one of the things is the Fire Splinter in Untamed and afterwards has had very few magic attack monsters, and that's on purpose. As there's the goal is to try to keep the splinters to be kind of different. Certain splinters have more of certain types of abilities and certain types of attacks. But so the Goblin Fire Mage kind of fills a hole there in in the Fire Splinter with magic attack. And will also become more obvious, like, down the road when there's a modern format where some of the older, cards aren't able to be used anymore. So it's just a pretty strong 4-mana magic attack monster, and it has the relatively new Dispel ability that removes any positive status effects on any enemy it hits with its attack, and it blinds the enemy monsters, which they have an increased chance of missing with ranged and melee attacks.
Yeah, because
so,
I saw that 3 magic and 4 mana, and I'm like, ooh, Matt wants a powerful magic card for these guys.
Yeah. So definitely in the 4-mana slot, like it's just a real strong card. I mean, with the 3 magics at max level, but even 2 magic attack is pretty strong at the lower levels. So yeah, it's gonna be a strong card, I think.
Yeah, I bet you're gonna see this guy in Little League. That's all I'm saying. He's gonna be in Little League. All right. So, is there an easier way of exporting crypto from the game coming in the future? A lot of that would be way outside the jurisdiction of Splitterlands. Like, that's not stuff that we really touch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what exactly that means or what you're looking for. I mean, we just allow dark energy crystals to be transferred to as many different platforms as we can, and that makes sense. I'm not sure how much more we can really do to export crypto. We can't allow people to. We can't exchange crypto for people in the game, which I know some people have asked for. But that's just the nature of the cryptocurrency industry these days. We can, the game can give out the cryptocurrency for different things, and we can provide the tools to transfer it out to different places. But that's pretty much it.
Channel Magnetic is asking again, why are tiers locked based on how much you've spent on cards, i.e. power rating? Doesn't the rating take care of the skill level?
So no, it doesn't. And if I'm guessing you weren't around before that was added, but the issue is really that in general, rating would take care of the skill level. But the problem is currently, we don't have enough people playing in all different, leagues or all different rating levels 24/7. So it was kind of possible for people to just basically be matched up, either with a bunch of their own alt accounts or things over and over, and basically game some. So ultimately, down the road in the future, if we have a lot more players actively playing at all levels at all time, then the rating system should take care of that. But the collection power requirement was sort of, I would say, an interim and necessary step to kind of prevent a lot of the rating system abuse that we were seeing.
And my general answer is something like, the game is a mix of stake, skill, and time. You have to have good cards, you have to be skillful, and you have to spend a bunch of time if you want to maximize your earnings. And I am unapologetic about having all 3 of those included. All right, Channel Magnetic is just calling it with the questions. So lands, what's the latest news on land updates, ideas, token release dates, and implementation release dates? How's the roadmap for land looking, Matt?
There's definitely no changes to it, since the last AMA certainly, and in general. So the plan still remains that we are shooting to release the ability to redeem your land plot claims in Q2. And that means we'll have the map up, and you can see all the different regions, and you can redeem whatever land you've bought for the actual plots on the map. You can see where they are. You'll get to reveal your actual NFT cards for each plot, so you'll see what type of land it is. Is it a forest, swamp, whatever? What rarity it is, whether it has magical resources or is occupied by monsters, all that stuff. And then there'll be a market for trading that and everything. So that's still planned to be in Q2. We're kind of at the early stages of getting that all designed out to the point where we can start doing work on it. We've already started doing some work on the back end for setting that all up. But that's, there's nothing, new from what we've already discussed and talked about there, and timelines haven't changed from that.
All right. Almighty Melon is asking, any plans for future graphics, UI, or animation changes?
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that one. Not specific plans. I mean, right now, a lot of the graphics and design and the animation UI work is going into things like Guild Brawls, the lands that we just talked about, and some other new features. I think there's definitely opportunities to go back and update existing things, but as we always say, it's just a matter of priorities. We just really don't have the resources right now to take on any more than we're already doing.
Yeah, we're kind of cranked. Although that said, do you want to talk a bit about the difference between Chaos Legion stuff that'll be coming out and kind of some of the current stuff, or even some of the Gladiator cards? Maybe we can put another Gladiator card or two into chat so that people can see, some of the graphics got a nice upgrade.
Well, yeah, you can talk about that. I mean, you've been more involved in the graphics and art department.
I just can't, because I'm recording the screen, I can't hop in and grab some pictures. So if
you want me to grab the actual pictures? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If you could put a couple into chat, then when we get down, I'll talk about those later down and just show people.
Why don't you talk about it real quick right now while I find that.
All right. Well, basically, I moved out of the way. I had some ideas of how these things should look and what makes them cool or not, and I got demoted. And so we just put more emphasis into the hands of our lead designer, Nate, who is incredible. And Nate said, look, I got this. He worked with the artists. And, if I'm being honest, one of the inspirations for us was Dragon Prince. Just the Netflix series, really good series, really great animation, just well done, and we liked the feel of that. We wanted it a little bit more colorful, I think, in some ways, but that was sort of like one of the things that we kind of held on to and said, this is the direction we want to head. And I got out of Nate's way, and he worked with the artists, and honestly, I just think those cards are looking really beautiful. So let me scroll down a bit, and then I'll scroll back up so that folks can. Well, Matt hasn't put them in yet. Oh, there's one. All right, so here's a couple of these cards, and if you're scrolled all the way down, you can just see that they're just really good looking. These things are just awesome. The color's a little different, the style's a little different. And they just have a different tone or flavor to them. So pretty excited. Same artist team. We just have them doing a different style. All right. So now packs are selling like hotcakes today. Yeah, I think we had like 3,000 packs sell today. So that's a fun day. Land was selling well too. When Brawler, yeah, I know. I've been having some personal problems. So Brawler's been delayed for a while, but it is on my intention list. Maybe this weekend to get back up to it. It's not purposeful. It's not any hate for Brawler. It's not screw you guys. It's just Jesus. My life has some weird aspects to it. All right. Question: how do the numbers look for downloads in the Apple Store? How's that look, man?
I was ready for that one today. We've had a little over 550 installs in the App Store since it was released, which looks like it was on the 25th or 26th of March.
All right.
So
2 weeks or so.
Yeah. And there was kind of a big spike in the first few days, and we've been going like 20 or so installs a day. And we're not at the moment doing any direct promotion for that, so that's that seems pretty great.
I tried to get some direct promotion through Twitter, and they blocked us as a crypto thing. So everybody gathered to be on crypto Twitter, and now they won't do ads for crypto stuff. So
I think it's all right. I mean, overall, the way I look at it is like if we just, if numbers go up as they say, that people will find out about it. The word will get out on its own. So, I think, at least from my perspective, the focus is just on building, the best thing that we can, fixing issues, adding new features that, things that add value in general to the overall ecosystem, and it'll just all kind of work out for itself.
Okay, so question: are we going to have alpha brawls? So I don't know what you mean by alpha brawls. Are there going to be like phrase or specific rule sets that have alpha cards? Yeah, I'd love that. I think that happens as you level up, but I haven't looked at the latest doc on what that looks like in a couple weeks.
I can address that.
Nice.
So,
Go for it.
In the very high level brawl tiers, after you level up a bit, there are some alpha plus beta phrase that come into the mix, and I believe in level 5 there's one alpha plus promo or alpha plus rewards or something like that. So there are a few of them as you get higher up, yes, but not an overwhelming number of them.
Okay. Thought in previous AMA, Yabapmatt mentioned that Mavericks does need to be updated. I don't know, but like there are parts of this that might live in the game, might live in Discord, and might live in both. The general thought of like having a Mavericks, I don't really see changing. I see maybe adding other Maverick style categories like landowners. So you could be like a Maverick or a Baron Maverick, But we've had this for 3 years now, so I don't much want to change just the basic rules of being a Maverick. And if we do create other things that are in game, then they can be in game, and maybe those two can interact in Discord. But the Mavericks are the Mavericks.
There was also a question a little bit above about if there was something planned for the small attendance issues in the brawls, and so I did want to address that also. Like we can see that there are issues where there are some phrase that only have one person entering from all the guilds involved in that group, which is obviously not ideal. This was just released. It's only our second brawl ever, so we're looking at all these things, we see all these things, and we're gonna address them and figure out how. But it's not the type of thing where we just like immediately go in and change something and then it's all fixed. So we gotta get a few brawls under our belt. There's always gonna be a few hiccups with a new thing being released. But yeah, all these things are 100% gonna be addressed. I mean, Cryptomancer is really the one looking at it more than the rest of us because he's working on it. But we're gonna figure out what the issues are and how to handle it so that there's reasonable assurance that everyone who wants to participate in the brawl will get battles and they'll be reasonable and all that stuff.
Neil McSpadden asking, will the Chaos Legion set also feature airdrops? I don't think that we have said that definitively, but I'm definitely a fan. Matt?
Oh yeah, I would assume that they're going to feature airdrops. They may be a little different than the Untamed airdrops. There may be some different requirements or things like that, but overall I think the airdrops thing has definitely been great. And it's fun and exciting, other than the fact that we always have to have new cards ready and there's a lot of work and scrambling sometimes on my end, but totally worth it.
I see what you did there, sir, and I like the little bit of alpha. Okay, next up, Mr. Dragon is asking, are crowns on the blockchain? Mancer, you want to come back and address that? He ran away.
Or I can, if not. So everything that happens in the game is the result of a transaction on the blockchain, right? So it, there's no external input, and if you run the same code, and start from the same block, it will generate the same results, which is how all blockchain tokens work. So yes, crowns are on the blockchain just like every other token and thing that happens in the Splinterlands, because everything is derived from the data on the blockchain and only the data on the blockchain. So it can be, deterministically recreated from the data on the blockchain. And in fact, that's something that I run multiple copies of the Splinterlands code on separate databases that independently read the blockchain. And then, I get like an alert whenever any of them return a different result for anything. And there actually was one instance of that with the Brawls that we've fixed. So we ensure that everything is 100% only deterministically based on the blockchain data, which is really what being on the blockchain means.
Question: I put some Hive and DEC into the diesel pool on tribal decks. Didn't seem to get anything out of doing so. What am I missing? Are there rewards? So rewards are coming. They don't exist. They kind of exist now, but it's a little bit funky. Only the token creator can go issue rewards right now.
Well, let me just say, there's not currently any rewards for the diesel pool on tribal decks. So yeah, sorry if that wasn't clear, but yeah. So currently there's no rewards or benefit for adding liquidity to that pool. But what Aggroed's talking about is that there is going to be in the hopefully near future.
Yeah, I think I saw that the last round of code changes have happened. We need another code review, and I think it's part of the hard fork that we're doing. So I'll get a little bit more update, but we're in the final stretches of that stuff going live, where anybody can reward any token to any pool and help. And that, again,
Aggroed's talking about Hive Engine platform and their changes to support rewards for any diesel pools, including the Hive and DEC pool.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, you're saying what we're doing, but
Oh yeah.
Let's specify Hive Engine versus Splinterlands.
Yep. All right. What else do you? Like to know if playing like 200 games a day, keeping the ERC around 20% gives you more or less the same DEC as those playing 25 games and maximizing it at 100%. Do you want to?
Yeah. No, you should get the same. Yeah, it should be the same. You wouldn't be earning less. It's just once you hit the max, which is whatever it is. I think it's actually closer to 30 games a day. But it did then. If you play more than that, you're not going to be getting more dark energy crystals like on a daily basis. But you also won't be getting less because you'll be getting a smaller amount per match, but over more matches. So it should come out roughly the same.
Question: I've been having issues with surrendering when I submit a team at the last second on iOS. The UI is awesome, great job there. Just getting used to it takes a second. Is there any way to add a little time buffer like there is on the desktop or web version?
Yes, and Melon Man we just talked about that today, so that should be released soon. In general, there were just a bunch of other bug fixes and things released on the mobile app like yesterday, I think, that apply to all the different platforms, iOS, Android, and web. That one wasn't included in that change, but it should be done shortly.
I'm looking for questions. Question 1. Will farming on land be closer to NFT staking or closer to regular DeFi?
Well, I guess I'm not exactly sure. I would say it wouldn't be necessarily closer to either of them, but it's more like a gamified system, right? So I imagine it like an empire building game, Clash of Clans or something like that. You're building buildings and you have all these different plots and things, and you got to manage resources and manage your cards and what you're producing and how you're producing them and all that type of stuff. So I'm not sure if that's closer to either of those, but I don't know.
Yeah, to me, it's the combination of the two. It's like the NFT and the DeFi and it's all gamified. So it's some hybrid. Question 2: do the promo codes from the first Kickstarter still work? I forgot to open it.
That's a good question. Try it and message me if it doesn't.
So did someone mention that cards will eventually go out of play? Is there some schedule or plan for when that might happen? What will be the use case for the out of play cards? So it seems like we have one possible misunderstanding of what we're describing. Matt, do you want to kind of go into the formats and how we're not retiring cards so much as adding another reward pool?
Yeah, totally. So it's important. We talk about this on a somewhat regular basis on the AMAs, but I know not everyone can listen to that. So I guess this is a good idea that we should maybe publish this somewhere more clearly. But the plan, and again, this is just based on what pretty much any game of this type does, is that when the next set is released after Untamed sells out, which is planned to be called Chaos Legion, that we're going to be adding a new ranked play format. So the existing ranked ladder would stay, where you can use any cards from any editions, and the rewards are planned to stay roughly the same for that. And then in addition, there will be a second ranked ladder where you can only use the newer cards from the Untamed set and on. And that'll be just much more fair to newer players who it's just not really reasonable to be able to get a deck filled with all the old cards and all the new cards. So you could do both if you have all the cards, great. Or you could just play in the modern format, as I've been calling it, which will only have the newer cards. So this, as far as schedule for when that may happen, it depends when Untamed sells out, and then usually there's a bit of a break before the new set is released, and then obviously we have a ton of other stuff going on this year, so that'll all kind of enter into the timing of things. I don't have an exact timing, but potentially later this year, or potentially later. And then in addition to still being able to use the older cards in the the more open format, there's the plan is to allow cards to be used to work on your land. So, if you have some older cards that you don't use to play, you could put them on land to help harvest resources and do things like that. And the older cards and, more rare cards and gold foil cards will, have higher production rates and other bonuses on the land than the newer cards. So, we're trying to, as best as possible, balance having newer players being able to be competitive in the ranked ladder while also still, have utility and value for the older cards. And I think that should cover it pretty well.
Yeah, I just want to see 4 max level alpha Lords of Darkness, working one of the swamps.
Gold foil.
Yeah, gold foil. Well, even I don't have duplicates of the gold foil ones. So I'm lucky enough to have a lot of the alpha gold foils, just not multiples. All right, question. Will there be any thoughts on removing the 3 phase of the Brawls, the resting day, to cut out the grind down by 1/3 of the time? I mean, I don't see it, but
I don't think we're going to cut the time of each Brawl down, but I think Cryptomancer mentioned that we're planning on adjusting the costs for things in crowns now that we've gotten a chance to see how things are going, to reduce the time of the grind that way. So you'll need fewer crowns to upgrade buildings and do other things, rather than having more often Brawls.
All right, UniQM brought this up at Deep Dives. Is there a rewrite plan for some of the documentation for abilities to make it more clear exactly what each ability does? Right now, there are a lot of generalities in there that don't make them as clear as they should be, which can be confusing to new players.
Yeah, so a few people have asked about this. Initially, my thought was that, you kind of keep it not exact and, explain what it does, but not the exact amounts, for example. And that's sort of, players kind of discover that or can talk and, learn that stuff. And is kind of part of the fun of some of these games. But that's the type of thing where if that's not the case and people just want all the exact numbers listed there, I have no problem doing that. It shouldn't be a big update by any means.
Okay. I asked this a few weeks ago, but wanted to see if we are close to displaying summoner abilities on the battlefield or when selecting your monsters.
Yeah, I don't remember what I said a few weeks ago, but I would assume that I would say that I don't have any issue with doing that, and we should do that. But it's again just always a matter of priorities, and we're just kind of like really a bit overbooked with all the stuff going on, so we just have to like really focus on the biggest and most important things. And there's like a lot of little things like that which we should do, and it's just a matter of when it makes sense to do them. We're just looking like we could spend a bunch of time doing a lot of these little fixes, but we also we're responsible for moving the needle, and we also hear it from people if NFTs are hot and things are going up and Splinterlands isn't, so we always have to see like what will give us the most bang for the buck. And not just us. I mean, when I say us, I mean everybody, the whole community here, because anything that improves the Splinterlands game is going to help anyone who owns assets or is a part of this. So we have to look at things, and we have developed a limited amount of developers and designers, and so we just have to say, okay, these are the things that we think are really going to push this to the next level, and we got to focus on those. And I do try to I take notes on all these things, and so whenever we can, we have people go in, and sometimes Cryptomancer will just be like, hey, I heard people were asking about this thing, and it was quick, and I was able to just go in and fix it. I do the same thing sometimes, so that's but some of the things like the summoner abilities might be a little bit more involved of a project, so I haven't looked at it specifically, but that's all the type of considerations we have to do when we're doing this stuff.
Did I see it right that tracks will have the possibility of having a castle instead of a keep?
Yeah, so every region, even one plot could have a chance of having a castle or a keep, right? So every region will have one castle, and every tract. Well, so there's 10 tracts within a region, and there's one castle in one of those tracts in the region, and the other 9, one of the plots will have a keep building on it. So if you buy a whole region, you are guaranteed to get exactly 1 castle and 9 keeps. If you buy one tract, you are guaranteed to get a keep. You have 1 out of 10 chance of that keep being a castle, if it happens to be the one tract in that region that has the castle. And even if you buy just a single plot, I mean, you could be the one plot that gets a keep in the tract that you're in, or it could even be the one that has the castle in the whole region. Obviously the chances are smaller there, so that's how that will work.
I see a flex from Neil rocking 3 alpha gold foil frost giants. That's pretty good. And we ran out of questions, so I don't know. Maybe Channel Magnetic has like 50 more in the tank. Maybe we can decide what time we're gonna go do the call for next week. You want to go do that early time next time?
Well, I think we should just go back to the normal time.
Okay.
So the 2 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UTC.
All right, I will update the invite for us both for... Actually, I guess I don't have to do anything because it should just be normal time. Oh, no, let me move that back. Okay. Is return fire supposed to work for melee monsters? That's a negative. You taking ideas on Splinterlands merch? You're welcome to go hit us up with some Splinterlands merch. When boss battles? Boss battles should be coming up after we get a little further with the the guild brawls. So
yeah, but I'd also say, like, we do want to get, we all want boss battles in there, right? But it's again what I was talking about. We got to look at all the things and just figure out what is gonna really, gonna move the needle for the business, to use that term, and for the value of the cards and the players and everything. So, boss battles is one of those things that is unfortunately like a pretty large project to do it, like, reasonably. And we may try to do some things like have some initial kind of quicker boss battle in the meantime before there's like a larger boss battle system. But, also compared to like the other things that we have planned, like the land expansion and some things, it's just not, I at least don't see that as being, giving us as much bang for the buck. So, we gotta, I know there are definitely some people like yourself that have boss cards that you've designed, and we absolutely want to get them in. But at the same time, we got to take into account everybody in the entire player community and make sure, we do what's best for that overall.
all right. What situations are Phantom cards restricted? I noticed I couldn't use them in Brawls.
That's interesting. They shouldn't be restricted anywhere, so I don't know if that's that's something Cryptomancer can look at if that's the case. But you should be able to use the kind of starter set of cards in all types of battles.
Yep, they definitely should be allowed. So if there's some issue there, I can look into it and see what's going on. This is the first I've heard mention of it, though, so I'll take a look and just double check.
I mean, one thing, if it was a gold foil only brawl, then you won't be able to use them because you don't get a gold foil version. If it was something other than that, then it'd be a bug.
Question: what's Aggroed's boss monster like? I think I want to do a. I actually want Aggroed, the Lightbringer, to be in the game, and he'll be some kind of spirit that goes from the Lightbringer to some corrupted monster that tries to destroy everything. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Junichio, any more info, teaser on the big unannounced thing coming? Do you want to announce any announcements about the future announcement?
Well, it's at the moment no different than last week, where we are planning to announce when we're going to announce the announcement pretty soon. I would say definitely next week, early next week. Just want to be 100% sure about everything before we announce when we're going to announce the announcement.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Question for Matt. What are the most common issues people are having with the Binance Smart Chain wallets and payments? Any tips you want to offer?
I actually haven't heard a bunch of issues recently. I mean, you would probably know the answer to that better than I would, because you're kind of more on the front lines of the customer service there. Yeah, one issue that we're working on is, like, if you don't actually have enough, like if you're trying to make a payment with a ERC20 or BEP20 token and you don't actually have enough for the token in your wallet to make the payment, instead of a nice error message, MetaMask seems to just, have a ridiculously high gas cost for the transaction, which would just be a failed transaction anyway. So like one thing that's on my to-do list is just to have the website check your balance of the token before even popping up MetaMask and showing a nicer error message. I think we mentioned before that Chris Roberts has been taking the lead on working on like a documentation site to sort of replace the FAQ for Splinterlands, which will have like tons of information, but also guides that we can easily point people to from the game to like how to set up, all the different types of wallets that are applicable and point them to the right networks and send your tokens there and all that stuff. So that's a project in the works. But yeah, I mean, in general, we appreciate all the community's help, with helping people out with that type of stuff in Discord and Telegram and all that. That helps way more than we could ever do on our own.
What, in your opinion, is the most important thing to move the needle?
I would say the thing that we're planning to announce when we're going to announce next week. And that's why we're doing that.
I would say more players. And actually, one of the things that will help with more players is the announcement that we're announcing. So
yeah, right. Yeah, I agree with that.
So they're tied in. Like there's a reason that Matt and I choose to make this the priority for the game. So yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, I mean, and more players. Again, not just from like. I also look at it not just from like, oh, can we advertise and get more people in, but I like it. Ideally, it's all organic growth, right? So I look at it like if our existing players are rewarded well and, are doing well from their involvement in the game, that just naturally the word gets out and people see like, oh my gosh, these guys, these cards are doing so well, these assets are doing so well, this is looking popular, and it's a cycle that builds on itself. So that's kind of, at least with this particular thing, the angle that we're taking there. I mean, separately, we also have marketing things planned that Aggroed's working on primarily. But, the stuff that we're working on with the game is really just to reward players as much as possible, which should hopefully organically grow the game by itself.
Yeah. And hopefully I get a big announcement in for next week. It's separate than the one that I've been holding off on forever. I think we get another big partnership next week, but we'll see. Should I be holding from buying packs because of the announcement that's not announced? Matt, do you want to give any teasers of what, if anything, players might want to hold, or what will be beneficial, or anything like that?
It's definitely not a type of situation where there's going to be like, oh, if you buy packs now, you'll get something, whereas if you bought packs before, you won't. But buying and or holding any type of asset in the game will be beneficial, with regard to that. Buy now, buy later, doesn't really matter. So it's not going to be that type of thing where people are going to be like, oh, we wish we hadn't done this then. I mean, I don't like that stuff, but it's unavoidable in certain situations. But this definitely will not be like that.
Question: how are the Brave tournaments going? Are the Brave people happy, satisfied, or disappointed with them and the turnout?
As far as I can tell, the Brave team that we've been working with is super excited and super happy with how everything's going, especially with the tournaments. Obviously, there were some hiccups with the bat requirement, but they understand that that's certainly not Splinterlands' fault in any way, and they appreciate how much work we've done to try to integrate the BAT token on Binance Smart Chain. They're definitely happy with how the land sale stuff is going, and then we mentioned some type of NFT sale with them as like the third part of this thing that we've organized, which we're kind of still working on.
Did you see what Digit Spin put together?
Yeah, those look really cool. That's referring to some type of physical representation of the NFTs that we do with Brave. But yeah, overall, I think the Brave team's super happy. I hope that this is, just one of many things we do with them in the future. They've mentioned that the CEO of Brave, has been following this and, involved in what's going on. So that's, it's all good there.
Sweet. Question: some people want to use Binance Smart Wallet for the BSC chain instead of MetaMask. Any plans to support that?
I wasn't aware that didn't work. Yeah, I kind of thought the Binance Chain Wallet extension worked. I don't know if that's different.
Just to elaborate a bit on that, so maybe it would work if MetaMask wasn't installed and that was just like the default one to use. I'm not completely sure. But like, for instance, I use MetaMask for ETH, and then I use Binance Smart Wallet for BSC. So I've actually got both of them installed. And it would be nice if you could choose which one you want to use for which chain, rather than saying always having MetaMask pop up by default. Just so it's a bit of a smoother user experience there.
If only you were a developer who could do such a thing.
Yeah.
If you wanted to take a look at that, and it's not a big project to do, I'd be very happy to release that change if you did it.
Well, there's a long to-do list, so yeah.
Yeah.
Can think about it.
All right. Biz, does Matt have more data on the iOS versus Android users and downloads and spellbooks first money spent?
One question that we skipped over from Royal Eagle about cards with the halving ability.
Oh, yeah. I've been missing questions. Sorry about that. Not personal. Okay. Is there any other card plan that will have the halving ability, or will that ability always be reserved for the Alchemist?
I think kind of the plan was to just have it be only for the Alchemist. I mean, that was kind of like a special card, and has a cool special ability. But that type of thing's not set in stone. Nothing's really set in stone. But so in general, I guess it's cool to keep it only for the Alchemist. So it's kind of rewards the people who got those cards. But it's possible it could be reused again in the future.
I have so Biz is asking me, although things with COVID epidemic are still uncertain, what are the plans for restarting the ambassador program once things return to normal? We still have tons of posters. I got all these what are they called? QR codes. I have a bunch of QR codes that we can attach to posters. That thing has been ready for over a year, but I just don't see a ton of reason to do it because it's not like the comic shops are full. So I look forward to working on it. I just want it to be a little bit more robust first. All right, I think we're going to take these last two questions and then we'll call it a night. Question for Aggroed: what's the latest on NFT showroom artwork for Splinterlands art? Anything in the pipeline? I still want to turn SBT into like a NFT platform for just Splinterlands art and maybe some skins too. But I got to release Tribes 2.0 for for Hive Engine first. So I could see that coming and I can see that existing, and I think it will go well. But it's still like at least a month out or more. And it pending on can we fit it in with whatever other dev schedule we need to integrate these things. So it's like a month before I could make the site do NFT stuff. And then it might be some time while we still figure out, is that going to happen? Drac is asking, do you plan to set the cards in played status for other players if you use them for the plot production? So I think he's saying, are you going to, if you stake them in land, can you use them?
No, if cards are working on the land, you can't use them in battles. If that's the correct understanding of the question.
Yeah, I think that's the question. When Chaos Legion drops, where will reward and promo cards fall? New league, old league, or both?
Oh, you can... it's basically based on the card frames is an easy way to tell. So any cards with the newer Untamed frames will be considered modern format, and any cards with the older beta or alpha frames will not be included in modern format.
All right, back to, is there any data on the iOS versus Android users and downloads and spellbooks and money spent?
Oh, well, I only have iOS up here. Let me see. It looks like there's been about $16 average spend per user in the iOS app over the last 2 weeks, which is like generally overall our numbers are much higher than like traditional games, which makes sense because you're buying actual assets that you own, versus just like spending money on entertainment that's gone. But in general, we found the numbers to be really good as far as like spend per user and the percentage of players that make a purchase and things like that. For the iOS app, I'm just looking at the data that's just up here on the overview, but like about half of the installs are from the U.S. And then the rest are kind of spread out amongst like Europe and Asia and a few other places. I don't have the Android stuff up right now, but maybe we can compile some like a stats post or something, or include that in the next monthly update, or something like that.
Just to give one last, we're coming to the end here. So we're up to 76,000 accounts that are registered, and we have 22,500 that have purchased the spellbook. So we're zooming in to getting up to the 100,000 registered users, and I think that'll be a nice point for us. We're how many are we growing by a day? So yeah, we're seeing 400 we're seeing 300 or so signups per day and 50 spellbook purchases per day. So with a little bit of promotion and a little bit of luck, we'll see this thing grow pretty well. So I think that's all the time that we have tonight. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I'll get a recording up here shortly. Matt and I love what we do, and we couldn't do it without the user base, the player base, and your support. And for the record, and like the first time ever, it's not me typing. It's Matt, which is amazing.
Sorry.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. People that know that I DJ and I type all the time, it wasn't me this time. But hopefully you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Matt, anything you want to add before we end the show here?
Without trying to hype anything more than we're already hyping things, like I said, as someone who's not generally bullish on stuff, this is by far the most excited I've been for, Splinterlands or even most projects in a long time. But that being said, we have a ton of work to do. We're going to try to get everything, that we can and that people want out in a timely fashion. But, the biggest kind of questions on these things are, when are we going to do this, and when into this, and what about that? But, we really have to, I think the hardest part of doing this job is exactly that. Like, we have a billion things to do, and we have to go through and figure out what is the best thing to focus on, for the overall growth of the product and the ecosystem. So, we appreciate you guys being understanding and bearing with us with that when, there's a lot of things to do. They're all good ideas. And we're just, trying to prioritize as best as possible.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you, Mancer. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, all the listeners, for your questions. Thanks for playing the game. And we will see you in the Splinterlands in Discord and here next week for the regular time slot of 2 p.m. Eastern. Thanks all. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.